Okay, let's talk about the tools we're going to use. Now, you can use a lot of different stuff for mastering. Okay, there's a lot of people who insist on hardware mastering, and there's some really cool hardware for mastering. Um, but what I want to do in this class is we're going to stick primarily to software, or we're going to stick only to software in this class. But you'll understand how hardware works. We'll talk about it when it comes up. So I'm going to be using Ableton here, but it's important for me to convey that you can do this in just about any software, any audio software. If you're using Pro Tools, Logic, FL Studio, Reaper, the the tools we need for mastering are EQs and compressors, maybe a couple other things, but any audio program has those tools built in. Really, it totally should. I'm almost positive every single, you could probably do a lot of this in GarageBand if you really had to. It's not so much about access to the tools, but using them precisely. That's what makes a good master. So, whatever DAW you have is going to be fine. Even if you don't have a DAW, you doing this in like Audacity, a free program, you can do that. It's going to be a little harder, but you can actually master in Audacity just fine. So everything you need to master something really well should be built into your software already. So don't let my using Ableton throw you off. If you're not using Ableton, it's going to be okay. You just need to understand how to use your software pretty well. You need to understand how to use your compressors and your EQs. We'll talk more about that when we get there. So you don't need to buy fancy plugins to do this stuff. That being said, if there is one fancy plugin to buy, and I'll talk more about how I use this later, but it would be Isotope's Ozone. It looks like this. Ozone is a mastering plugin. You do not need it. I cannot emphasize this enough. You do not need it. You can do a great master without it. However, it does do some things really well that your DAW probably does also. But Ozone's going to do it differently, and there's some advantages to using Ozone. We'll talk more about that later. Don't go out and buy Ozone yet. Maybe you'll want to buy it by the end of this class. So I'm primarily just going to use the stuff built into Ableton. At the very end of this class, I'll show you some advantages of adding Ozone into our chain. But until then, use what you have. Any DAW will be fine for this.